You're listening to the Caramel Apples podcast, the apple snack that brings you a retro vibe, both crunchy and sweet, with your hosts, Kennedy Rizzo and Cooper Lee.
So, when you think of Hollywood and remakes, the two words are just about synonymous. And as much as we see this undertaking being done and currently carried out on the regular, it's very noticeable, which is quite the understatement.
Yeah, you could say that again.
Oh my goodness. So, pretty much as long as television shows and movies have been made and are created, um, there have been the big wigs collectively grabbing at and jumping at a chance and clamoring, to get a hold of some project that's been previously done.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if it was a good story plot or not. And then they'll go and give it an updated reboot and then throw it quickly on screen. Like it's just a very, I don't want to say sloppy because it's disrespectful, but that's what they do to us, and then they want us to pay our money for it. So I don't know. It's pretty frustrating. I mean, they're not all bad, but I don't know. There's a probably more than we'd like to admit that aren't that good.
I will say I find that the majority of times, if you were fortunate enough to catch the original of whatever the movie or TV show was,
Hmm.
that's usually what you end up liking the best, and you compare everything else to it. But sometimes, you have caught the sequel and then you kind of get introduced into something, or you might actually catch the reboot before you caught the original,
Right.
and you're
Right.
like, well, that's what I really like. But I think by and large, the original usually outweighs anything else that they try to either bring up to speed, so it's has more like technology, or product placement is more today, whatever their reason for doing it.
Uh huh.
Usually, yeah, the original was better. Usually.
Yeah, but the caveat is that a lot of somebody will say, and they'll argue with this, they'll say that, well, what you're talking about as being an original is really a remake from something long ago.
Right, right, yeah.
I think one of the ones I'm thinking about, which was good, was Scarface. They said that the one we are familiar with is a remake. Um,
Really?
yeah, which I wasn't aware of that till I saw that.
Okay.
I wouldn't have known that, but I mean, but they did a good job with it. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, but then you think about other remakes, like, you know, um, what was that one? Was it Cheaper by the Dozen? I didn't really see it. Okay, let's not do that one. Like Pink Panther, the original Pink Panthers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the old 60s ones, 70s ones.
Yeah.
Um,
Because Steve Martin is funny.
I do like him.
He's
Yes.
funny. But
But,
filling those shoes as Inspector Clouseau,
oh my God, no, no,
yeah, it
no.
just doesn't have the same feel
It,
to it. It's
it
like you're
doesn't.
watching some other movie.
It doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, and I felt like they were grabbing, like they were trying too hard to get a
Yes.
laugh from the audience. And
Yeah.
again, my pet peeve is if you're good at what you're going to do, I don't care if it's from the creative execs, I don't care who's starring in it, I don't care if it's the music connected to it.
Yeah.
If you've got, for the most part, the winning components of any story, or movie, whatever, and you think you can do good on it, fine.
Hmm.
But more often than not, it isn't just one or two things that's missing. It's like the whole thing stinks.
Right? And back on the one with Steve Martin, it was almost like he was acting to be Peter Sellers, to be Inspector Clouseau.
Uh-huh.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it was just too much acting, overacting. It was just not very good. Now, I'll tell you another one that to your point, we saw the remake
Hmm.
before we saw the original, because the original was back in the 60s, I think, was Fun with Dick and Jane.
I just watched that the other day.
Now, this is one of those where it's like, oops, foot and mouth. Um, that one was hilarious. Did see the original after seeing that, and I, by and large, thought that Jim Carrey's was so much better.
Yeah, he was nuts.
Yes, he was. I mean, the other one was funny too, but it didn't have that level of laughter in it, right?
Right,
Because
right.
I don't know if it was really made to be like a comedy back then.
Yeah, it was more presented like, what if? Look at this scenario. What if, like just to get you thinking.
Yeah. So,
Now, again, with most remakes though, they grab these ideas and they just are quick to throw in these new upcoming actors and actresses,
yes.
or talent like on the backside of it. You got directors, producers, and other creative execs. So it seems like it's all new blood, and when they get a hold of something sacred,
Hmm.
um, I feel like a lot of times they don't do it justice, and they just don't respect the original.
Hmm.
I mean, okay, if you want to redo it, fine, but be careful. You have to be careful because they have fans. There is a following. There's
Yeah.
people that love this story,
Hmm.
but like, you can't just go and remake everything.
Right. And to your point, the fans they may know the story inside and out better than the ones who are remaking it. So they will call you out on the mistakes that you make.
Yes, and I
Big
think
time.
I think we talked about this in another Apple snack. But I think they're toying with doing Wizard of Oz. And I'm one of those fans that love Wizard of Oz. I love the Judy Garland one.
Yes.
I love the Wiz one too with Diana Ross, but I don't go no further than that. Those are the two I like. Do not try to go back and redo the 1938 or the 1939 version because that's what they're planning on doing.
That
And oh my goodness, fans are livid.
Well, all I can say to that is whoever had the keys to the vault must be tied up somewhere and they have now gained access, and I'm afraid.
They should be.
Because, like you said, this was just what it was. It was already black and white and went to color, all in the same movie. That is the only thing you could have done with that movie.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So it's done. You don't need to throw anybody else in the role. No one can bring it to screen better. Just leave it alone.
Right. Right.
And I I don't even know if you could really grab new fans from that, because once they saw the remake, they would see the original and be like, "Well, this was garbage. I don't even know why did they bother." So it's like they're going to lose any new fans they get once
Yeah.
they see the original.
And then like I do kind of agree with this. We haven't seen all of them, but I have been pretty pleased with some of the Disney live action remakes of the cartoon
Mm,
classics.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we both like Beauty and the Beast real well.
Hmm.
I know there was mixed reviews about that one. Some did, some didn't.
Yeah.
Cinderella, I don't think I did not see that one. I wouldn't mind seeing that one.
Hmm.
And there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, there's like Dumbo. They did that one. That one's sad. I can't watch the cartoon or the movie when he's so cute. I
No.
can't do it. I don't want to
Poor little
cry for a
Dumbo.
month. Yeah. So I do agree with that. I guess with the technology, but they still have to be careful. Don't just do it because you can. Do it because you do have this wide open creative vision for what we love and remember in the old original.
Yeah. And with that, I don't understand why they don't just stick to the original. If you're going to do it, just make it live, but you don't have to add any characters into it. You don't have to add new songs. You just right from what you have the permission. Just do exactly what we saw. Just now it's people instead of the cartoon. I don't think that's a hard formula, but maybe they're not allowed. I don't know.
I don't know. Hollywood is out of gas. I mean, it's just the way it is. They've gone to the library. They've grabbed up comic books.
Yes,
They've gone to cartoons. I mean, they redo everything. They have
they
no.
do.
They're out of ideas. They have no original content. They don't want it.
Well, I'll tell you another remake that we really liked the original, and even then the spin-offs. The second one was still really good. The third one wasn't bad, and then they changed the character was in Karate Kid.
Okay. Okay.
The original was great. And as long as we were following Daniel-san, it was great. And Pat Morita, but then Daniel-san, by the time they got to the next Karate Kid, they had changed from being Daniel-san to now it was the girl, and Miyagi was still in it.
Yes. Hmm.
But then they totally did the reboot, I think early 2000s, somewhere in there, where I don't even know. I think the whole story took place in Japan, and I didn't even watch it. So I probably shouldn't even talk about it because I don't know how much they changed it. I don't know if the characters are still called the same names. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So they made another one. What you're not talking about the one that was with Hillary Swank. There was something after that.
Yes, I believe with
Oh.
one of the Smith kids.
Okay, not ringing a bell.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't even watch it because I was like, no, it's not going to be the same. So I'm sure they have a fan base, and that's great. But for me, I have the originals, and I'm good with that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, for our listeners, we're not completely poo-pooing on Hollywood. Don't get us wrong. But we are a couple of self-proclaimed movie buffs, and we think we've have some pretty good ones in our arsenal that we like, and it's just like night and day from what we used to like and see and
Yeah.
cherish versus the current. So it's a completely different ball game.
Yes. Now, did you hear anywhere about Top Gun being remade?
I did.
How do you feel about that? Where do you rate on that?
I like Top Gun. I will see
Uh-huh.
it. I've seen the trailer a couple different times. Um, it was supposed to come out before COVID hit.
Oh, okay.
So they've actually delayed it for a bit, but Tom Cruise is back in it, of course. I mean, and I'll have to see with that. I mean, I really like the original.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like the storyline might connect and follow what the original was more about.
Okay.
I'll have an open mind when I see it. I know the Hubs wants to see it. He is completely a fan. So whether I wanted to or not, he dragged me there to go see it, or it would happen. But yes, I am interested in seeing that one. How about you?
I would definitely give this one a shot.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
not against this one at all. I don't know if I'm such a big fan as the Hubs, your Hubs, but I do like that movie, and I like the fact that Tom Cruise, at least he's a returning cast member, and he was the star. So, yeah, I'm willing to give that one a shot.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a remake, if they're still around, so don't wait
Yeah.
40 years to do it. Um, or yes, wait 40 years. That way you'll have a new, fresh. It'll look like we like Scarface. It was the original. So, but seriously, before we wrap up our Apple snack this week, honestly, are there or have there been any good remakes? Yes. Is it necessary to attempt to remake everything that's ever been made? My answer is no.
Mine too.
So, yeah. So, again, I mean, just what is the whole meaning of Hollywood's undertaking on remaking everything? I mean, they just did Tom and Jerry, which we loved Tom and Jerry. That was our
Yeah.
jam growing up.
Yeah.
And I have no interest in seeing the movie. I don't.
That's a big fat goose egg. Big fat goose egg. No, thank you.
Well, honestly, we probably could go on and on and on about this topic, but it's an Apple snack, so we got to cut it short. Um, we might come back and revisit this, especially after we've seen a couple of the ones we mentioned. We might go, try out. But yeah. Until then, we'll just try to behave ourselves and keep a lid on it this time. We'll try to behave.
Keyword is try.
That is tried. But if any of our listeners, if you are interested in seeing any of the new remakes coming out, old TV shows, movies, or whatever, from something that you cherished as the original, like, I mean, there's no way they'd be able to ever do Jaws. It won't be allowed.
No, totally protest that one.
So, also to our orchard archivers, what is absolutely sacred ground? Like they cannot touch it for you. So, hit us up and let us know what you think about that. And we'd love to hear your responses on this topic.
And that's it for this week's Apple Snack. But as you know, there's always more where that came from. So stay tuned. Subscribe, review, and spread the word. See you next time in the Retro Orchard, and thanks so much for listening.